So there will be 2 recording for today class. Let's continue. So context, right? Use context. How it work is let's look at the maybe the tree, right? Tree of React component. Okay, something like that. Image anyone, right? Let's open this. So here, the root, these are all our component. The something you see in the round box, right? They are component, like a root component. Then root has 3 children, right? Think of this root as a div, and then inside there is another div, another div, another div, right? 3 children. So you know the HTML, okay? The same thing here also. You can look at here, app. Inside the app, right? You added the navbar, profile, trending, feed, right? And the feed can have like tweet, retweet, and like, something like that, right? So these all are components. Components means what? Function with HTML returning, right? Return HTML, okay? So they are, so the point is we are looking at the use context, right? So let's say you want to, so your data is in the app, right? This component, but retweet is what? Inside feed, inside here, right? Inside feed, and then you have retweet. So this retweet is inside feed. So how you can transfer data from app to the retweet, right? Or maybe in the like. So you have to transfer first from here to feed, and the feed will transfer to the like or retweet, right? So that is called prop drilling, okay? Remember, you send the attribute, right? Let's say value or maybe name equal to something to your child component, okay? But using the, so this is just a 1 or 2 component, but if you have many components, right? There are many, like a stack of components, one inside another, again inside another or another, right? And you want to send data from top to bottom. So that will be difficult. For example, in here, right? Let's say from the main component, you want to transfer the data to one of this one here. So you have to transfer to this component, and from there to this component, from this to maybe this one, because that's the child of this div, right? And from this div to this input, okay, here. So see, this is called prop drilling, right? Drilling from top to bottom, from top parent to its child, child to its child, again child, and again to the last, wherever it has to go, right? But using use context, you're gonna create the component, right? Just wrap to the main and pass the value to that main wrapper, right? So that value will be available to any children inside here. You just go to that children and just grab it, right? Data. So how we can do that? Let's look at with simple example, right? So I will just maybe work on this. Okay, I have changed here, right? So I don't think it will work. Let me open the folder and something new, right? Just open something new. Yeah, right. Not this one. Maybe I'll just open this first one. So we're gonna go live view, npm run dev, and open this link, right? So I think we're doing something here, right? Last time I don't know what we have done. We're working on the state, right? Use state and use effect. That's what we have done. So you can see here, about page, product page, contact page, user page, right? So from home page, maybe we're gonna do something here, and then okay, let's look at the home page, right? So in the source, you have these pages, right? And here you have home page and all that. Also the app, right? App is the main page here, which has the app has nothing but the basically the navigation bar, then your all the child, right? Outlet the child, okay, and then the footer, right? That app will go to the main here, okay, main here, right? So how we can use this context API? How, right? For example, what we're gonna do, right? Let's see. Okay, let's do one thing, right? Let me think of how we're gonna configure this page. I will just go to the maybe about page here. Or let me find something clean, right? Okay, home page, okay. So we just gonna create one button, right? Let's add one button, okay. So here, or maybe counter, right? Counter, because we're gonna need a couple of component, right, to go inside this one. So okay, fine. So let's talk about the button. Let's add one button in my I have component folder somewhere. I don't, right? So I'll just put in the page here itself, or maybe in the source I'm going to create one components, right? And inside just add button, just create one button, right? Button dot, yes, what is that? JSX, right? This is simple component, okay, nothing fancy, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to call this button, right, in my one of the page here. Which one was that? Not contact, but let's call it in the about, right? Yeah, so we can call here, in the about. Let's call that button here in the about. Import button, right? Import button from. So I think it should be dot to up, right? Somewhere in the component slash button, like that, right? And then we're going to use that button somewhere here. So maybe that's the return part of div. Let's use it here, right? That button, like that. So this button, right? This little bit difficult, right? Let me think. Uh, this is just a component. I want to pass the data, right, to display somewhere there. Okay, let's not think about button. Let's just think this is the normal component, right? Just think like that, because we don't have any button here. Let's call it maybe const. Let's call it what? Maybe display data, right? Display data, something like that. Give it any name. And then we're going to return, right? So for now, let's say you have paragraph here and you want to display data, right? Data which we don't know yet. Okay, so we're going to get some data here from our props, right? So the props will be the property here. You go to the about page, delete this, right? Import display. I don't know why my auto suggestion is not working. Display data, right? From slash or double slash, maybe components slash. Oh, I make a TSX because this is not TypeScript, guys. That's why. Okay. Sorry, it's all is TypeScript, right? And I'm using the JSX. That's the reason. Okay, so it will complain. Let's change the name also, right? display data, simple enough. Okay, now let's go back, and where we are using in the about page here, right? Display data, just call this component display data, right? We're gonna pass one data because we asking, right? Or let's call it maybe value, or let's set a count, right? Count equal to maybe 10, like. So when you pass value number, right, you must put in the curly bracket. Okay, simple. So how you going to receive here, right? Using this props. So because we are using TypeScript, either you define the type here, right? This props is an object. Okay, this props is an object. You can destructure, right? And then get that what was the value? Count, right? You can get the count here, but again it will complain that it does not know what is the count, right? So you have to define the types here. The count is what? Number, right? You can define that. Fine, and you can use this count now, right? But this is, let's say you have another child, right, inside this display, another child inside here, maybe another component, right? This component maybe, you can create something like a const, maybe new component, right? Like that. I'm just creating here, but it can be in the different file, right? Return maybe div with count, right? Something like that. You want to display count here. How are you going to display now? So you have to call this component inside this one, right, as a child. Okay, for example. And then you're gonna just add this new component, and then you have to pass the count now here equal to, right, like this. You have to pass that count. Okay, and then you have to receive it again here, right? Like a count you have to receive, and that count will be again, you have to define the types, right? The count is nothing but a number, right? And then you're going to use it. So see what is saying? I must have the one parent element. Yeah, because this is a React, so you must wrap in one of the parent element. So you get the point now, right? This is called props drilling. So see, this new component is child of display, display is child of about, right? But now we're going to use context API and see how we're going to pass this number, right? Easily. Okay, to the, you want to pass that number to the new here, right? Okay, so I don't know what is the error here. So maybe we have added something like something wrong, right? Somewhere in the above. Display data, we must put it here. Component slash display data, right? So the first thing we're gonna do is we have to import. Let's import that. So it will coming from the React, right? So will be, so to use the create context, right? Create context or use context. There is two things. It comes in pair, right? Create context, something like a create context, right? You have to create the context first, and to this create context you're gonna pass the value, and then you're gonna call the use context to use that value, right? Context. Simple. Like a postman in transferring data from top to bottoms anywhere, right, within that boundary. So how are we going to create now? So first create context, simple like that. Now inside here, right, you're going to call const, let's call it counter, let's give the name, right here, counter context, give it any name, does not matter, right, equal to create context, and then you pass whatever data you want to pass, right? You can give it here for now. Let's set 10. Okay, so what is this? Yeah, value never used, right? So here you can pass, any data that can be maybe object with a lot of information. Inside that there will be functions, whatever, right? You can pass, but I'm just passing this 10 for now. The next is create counter. That is the name, right? Now where I'm gonna pass, which area I'm gonna pass the data, right? So because I want to, like, let's target the display. There is a lot of child inside the display component. So here I'm going to target. I just want to target this one for now, right? So just imagine this one has a lot of chaining component inside, right? Just imagine that for now. So the way you're going to use is this. What is that? Counter context, right? You're going to counter context. Is that the name correct? Yeah. So I think that is fine, right? Counter context. You just wrap it inside, right? Like that. Okay. I mean, I think we don't have to put a value here, right? No need. Okay, just leave it. We're gonna pass the value directly here, and then it will get something called provider, right? Provider. You have to do that. So you must do the provider also here. The wrapper should be same, right? And next you pass the value, and then pass the 10, right? Fine. So you don't need now. You don't need all this. You don't need that. Delete. No need, right? Go back to your display, and you don't need all these things. So you have value, or you can call it count, right? Let's call it here maybe count. That was we using earlier. So count also, right? Does not matter. Okay, let's keep it for value, right? I don't know why it's giving error, but let's give that value, right? So we're gonna delete all. Okay, that is fine. That is fine now, right? Display count. So now let's import again, right? Let's import create use count now, right? Use count or use context, okay. And also you have to import this one. This is the process here. So you have to remember this formula, right? First you're going to create context counter, basically context that provider. You wrap your main component. Maybe you can wrap, let's say you have to use that data all over the project, right? So you can directly wrap here the app, right, which is inside the where is that app, right? This is the app. So it's in the link. Where is our root, right? Maybe in the root here. So you can just wrap here this app directly, create context here. You bring your data, right, and just wrap it and pass in the value, so that all the component which is passing through here are gonna have access to that data, right? So you'll see something like that in your maybe in that project, right? But in our case, we just want to display that value. So that is okay. Use context now, right? What we will do is here const. I think we can call the value, right? Value, or maybe let's call it count. Whatever variable, does not matter. Use context, and then you have to also import this. Let's go back here now. So right. I mean, we created here. Okay, we have to export this, right? So I believe let's keep this one outside. We don't have to do this here, right? Keep it here. Yeah, because of the TypeScript, right, is complaining, and we can have export here added, right? Export. Okay, so now we can use that here, right? Just import that. Import, that is the name. So create context, right? And then use inside here, create context. Okay, so now you're gonna have that value available, right? In this this whatever value you get, right, from passing to this wrapper. What is that in the about, right? Look at this value. Okay, so it should be available now inside our display. So because they are in the same, let's say this is the separate component, right? And this one is the child of this display data. Still it will get, you can create this one directly inside here. So I can just go back, right? I don't have to use that. I just go back inside directly and create and use, right? So let's delete this. We don't need now anymore to pass data. And also you can delete from here for now, right? And then you have this count. Okay, so now take out all these things from the props and you got this count, right? So this is this will work. Let's go live view right now. Let's go live. So in our about, so where is that, right? In the about, we are displaying in the about, right? Display data. So that is empty. Okay, I don't know why it's not coming up. Use context. Let's see, display data, right? Here is that we have this component, okay? And the count is, right? Okay, so there is something wrong. I don't know what is the mistake, right? Let me see. Use context. That's fine. And then we're going to call that create context, right? From here. Oh, sorry, counter context, not create context, guys. Counter, that is the mistake, you know. We have to import that counter context. That's mistake. Import counter context. Dot pages about, right? Yeah, and then we pass that here. Counter context and save, right? So now refresh, still be getting error. Okay, so what is the error? Let's check quickly. So cannot access counter context before initialization, right? Counter context cannot access counter context before initialization. So about, yeah, I think create counter, right? Okay, let me quickly check, right? I hope I'm not doing anything wrong. You know? Use context in React hook. So use context and the some context, right? You're going to pass some value. That's fine. Use context theme, right? And then you pass some value here. Okay, so that should be not here, right? Let's put it inside the above. Fine. And also we can pass some value, right? You can pass here whatever, does not matter. Let's pass it 20. Now check our does it provide an export name counter context, right? Okay, why not? Let's see. So use not use context, right? Use context, theme context, theme provider and value. Oh, okay. So this is the one, right? You can see even this will not be here, guys. Take that out, and it should be good outside here. So counter context, right? And we have to export this also, because if not, we're not going to get that right on the other side. Counter context, and we are wrapping our component right here, provider. So what is the error now, right? Past refresh only work well. Okay, that's the error from the reference cannot access context counter context before initialization in the data display data, right? Let's go back there and check now. Display data. So you have use context, use context, right? Okay, we have to initialize this. Let me check now one more time. Use context with some whatever, right? We pass here use context with that theme provider, and then it should give the value, right? Okay, that's fine. So use context who cannot be called at the top level, right? Cannot be called at top level. Use context cannot be called at top level. So I'm doing something wrong, right? Oh, I called in the wrong place, guys. Sorry, it should be in the new component, right? Look at that. It will be inside here, Okay, now it should work. Let's check now, right? So if we go to the about page, and you can see the value now, right? The count is 10. The only thing is the rule, the formula, right? You have to remember. Okay, even I don't remember, so I should have looked at already. So the formula will be, you have to create the context to wrap the parent element, right? Parent component. In our case, we have wrapped the parent is the display data, right? So we wrap that one so that we can pass this value to the children of display, right? So this is the formula. Okay, you're gonna call the create context like this. You can put it something here, maybe null will be fine, right? Okay, just keep it null for now. So once you create that, right? Once you create context, store in one of the variable, and then use this count this variable name, right, to wrap your parent component. How? Counter context dot provider, and you pass the value. What value? This can be anything. Right now I'm just passing 10, right? The number. Here you can pass the whole object with maybe function inside, whatever, right? Because you want to have access to that function somewhere deep inside this component. So if you go to that component, right, how you going to access that value? That value can be anything. How? First, you're going to use context. You're going to call that. The next thing is import that counter context also, right, from here. So, from the app, right? look at this. We are exporting this, okay? Exporting this, right? So that's why you're going to import inside here. Import that because we're going to need which, because maybe you have many contexts, right? You're going to have many contexts sometimes in a project. So you have to call that context and use it. How? By calling use context hook, pass this counter context, and then you, whatever value you are passing, right, will be stored in this variable. Now use that. If that is object, you can have object here. If inside that object, if there is something function, whatever, you have access to that one here now. You use it, right? So that's how the use context work. So maybe I will prepare tomorrow, right? We're going to look at, I will just prepare a new project with maybe some counter, something like that. And then, and also we're going to use that same thing for the use reducer hook also, right? So today I had no code prepare. I will make it ready tomorrow. And then we're going to look at the both again, right? Both contexts, but you get the idea of use context now, right? In the second project, there is a use context use. Hopefully this will help understand. Okay, guys, so let me stop here, right?